Okay, no? Venue na tayo ngayon, no? Rule 4. Pag sinabi mong venue, we're talking about personal actions and real actions. Pag sinabi mong BP 129, we're talking about actions incapable of pecuniary estimation and actions capable of pecuniary estimation. So pag capable of pecuniary estimation, ulitin natin, pwedeng involving title to or possession of real property or civil actions involving civil actions where the amount of the demand, where the amount of the claim, and so on and so forth. Okay? Pinakamaganda po, para hindi tayo malito dyan sa BP 129 saka sa venue na yan, hatiin natin. Let's not mix them together. No? Let's not mix them together. Let's tackle them one by one. Okay, venue tayo. What's a real action? So a real action is an action involving title to or possession of real property or any interest therein. I get it. Kaya po tayo nalilito kasi itong involving title to or possession of real property, binanggit na sa Rule 4 sa venue, binanggit pa sa BP 129. I get it. No? Meron na pong ganyan sa RTC, MTC, sa BP 129, meron pa ulit sa venue. No? Kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo, do not mix them together. Ipakikita ko sa inyo mamaya kung bakit. Personal action is an action that is not a real action. So it's an action that does not involve title to or possession of real property. So lahat ng action na hindi involving title to or possession of real property, that's a personal action. Okay? Venue for real action, napakasimple, where the real property is situated. It must be commenced in the proper court having jurisdiction over the place where the real property is situated. Personal action, either the residence of the principal plaintiff or the residence of the principal defendant at the election of the plaintiff. Malamang siya magpa-file eh. Okay. So ito po yung normal, no? Normal circumstances. What if non-resident po yung defendant? Non-resident, example po ng non-resident is a foreign corporation. What if the foreign corporation cannot be found in the Philippines? What if the foreign corporation can be found in the Philippines? What if an alien national can be found in the Philippines? No? Real action, paano? Same thing lang po. No? The action may be commenced and tried in the court of the place where the property is situated. Pag personal action, malamang hindi naman nakatira sa Philippines yung defendant, and then wherever he may be found. Or saan ulit nakatira yung principal plaintiff at the election at the option of the plaintiff. No? O now, what if non-resident cannot be found in the Philippines? No? So ano po yan? Applicable din po tayo sa foreign corporation ulit, no? Okay. Real action, same thing. Tandaan niyo pag real action, wala nang kailangan pang i-analyze. Basta pag real action, automatic where the property is situated. Yung mga wherever he may be found, whatever, yan po kapag personal action. Okay? Sige. If the action affects the personal status of the plaintiff, no, dito, like petition for correction of entry, ano pa, annulment of marriage, sa mga yan, the action may be commenced and tried in the court of the place where the plaintiff resides. So, hindi nga ma-find sa Philippines yung non-resident. Wala din naman siya sa Philippines. So, option na lang is saan nakatira yung plaintiff. What if the action also affects the personal status of the defendant? Same thing. Plaintiff resides. What if the action does not affect the personal status of both parties? Example, collection of sum of money. Same thing. The action may be commenced and tried in the court of the place where the plaintiff resides. Okay? To repeat, for collection of sum of money, the action may be commenced in the court of the place where the plaintiff resides in case the defendant is a non-resident. No? So, non-resident alien yan, probably. Attorney, hindi ba, paano yan? Kung collection of sum of money, tapos wala naman sa Philippines, paano mo isa-serve yung summons? Again, that's another topic. Topic na po yun ng action in personam, action in rem, saka action quasi in rem. Another topic na po yun. Ang tanong lang po natin ngayon, saan mo ifa-file kapag the action does not affect the personal status of both parties like a collection of sum of money and the defendant is a non-resident who cannot be found in the Philippines. Yun pa lang po ang tanong. Sasagutin mo lang na, saan ba ifa-file? Adi sa ano, 'di ba? Sagutan mo ng BP 129, sagutan mo ng venue. Kung magpo-proceed ba yung kaso o ma-archive yan or hindi masa-serve yung summons, that's another question for another time. 'Di ba? See, that's how we ano po, that's how we fix itong mga confusion natin. Sometimes we relieve yung confusion, yung puzzle sa isip natin not by mixing everything together, not by correlating everything together, but by mastering each principle one by one. Mastering the principles one by one. Huwag nating pagsama-samahin lahat. Okay. So, ayan no. Nalay ko na rin dito. However, this case will be archived since the Philippine courts have no territorial jurisdiction over foreign countries and so on and so forth. Okay? Next tayo, no? By the way, after nito, gagawa tayo ng mga examples para mas ma-illustrate natin ang pagkakaiba ng BP 129 sa kanang venue. Pero para po natin malaman yung distinctions, o ma-apply natin yung distinctions between BP 129 and Rule 4 on venue, kailangan yung mismong law ng BP 129 at saka yung Rule 4, master muna natin by themselves. Okay? Once you can do that, once you have mastery nung each, di pala each, nung law at saka nung Rule 4, saka tayo magko-correlate. Tandaan nyo ulit, yung venue kapag real action, personal action, tapos paano pag non-resident who can be found at saka non-resident who cannot be found in the Philippines. Okay, sige. When the rules on venue do not apply, no, specific rule or law provides otherwise, or where the parties validly agreed in writing before the filing of the action as to the exclusive venue ng kaso. Specific rule or law, example po niyan, small claims. Sa rule, no? Sa expedited rules, no? Kapag po yung plaintiff is engaged in the business of lending, banking, similar activities, diba? And nasa branch within the municipality or city where the defendant, ibig sabihin defendant, siya yung probably debtor, resides or is holding business. The statement of claim, no? Statement of claim shall be filed in the court or municipality where the defendant resides or is holding business. No? If there are two or more defendants, it shall be filed in the court of the city or municipality where any of them resides or is holding business at the option of the plaintiff. So kakaiba po yung rules niya on venue. Hindi po kahit na small claims yan eh. So personal action yan. Why is it a personal action? Because it does not involve title to or possession of real property. In small claims, it involves what? Demand, di ba? Claim. Purely monetary claims. Purely civil in nature na claims, no? So, ang sabi dyan dapat, di ba, residence ng defendant or residence ng plaintiff at the option of the plaintiff. Pero hindi ba po na small claims. Pag negosyante yung plaintiff, lending, no? Lending corporation, banking, similar activities. Ifa-file mo lang yan dapat kung saan nakatira yung defendant. Hindi mo pwedeng i-file yan sa residence ng plaintiff. Alam niyo po kung bakit? Kasi paano kung bangko? Sabihin natin, pinautang yung defendant sa taga Mindanao siya. Taga Mindanao siya. May branch po doon yung bangko. Malamang, may branch yan kasi bangko yan, malaking company yan. Ang principal place of business po, yun ang considered as residence ng bangko. Ang principal place of business po ng mga bangko kapag malaking bangko, no, sa Philippines, sa Makati, sa Taguig. Can you imagine, yung defendant nasa Mindanao, tapos yung ipa-file ng plaintiff, yung bangko, ipa-file niya yung kaso sa Makati or sa Taguig. Met si Makati or met si Taguig. Luging-lugi po yung defendant. That's the reason why ito ang nilagay sa small claims. kung saan may branch. Sabihin natin, kung saan nakatira yung defendant, tapos may branch doon yung bangko, doon mo ipa-file yung small claims. Hindi mo siya ipa-file sa Makati or sa Taguig kasi lugi yung defendant. Nagkaroon po ng specific rules on venue yung small claims. Because of that, to meet that scenario, kasi luging-lugi naman yung defendant, di ba? Luluwasin pa para lang makapag-file ng mga, di pala, para lang maka-attend ng hearing, no, for small claims. Okay, sa exclusive venue tayo, no? In writing, before the filing of the action, exclusive venue. When you say exclusive venue, the stipulation, the agreement between the parties used or employed words of exclusivity, no? It must be restrictive na word, hindi lang siya permissive. Okay? In restrictive, the complaint is to be filed only in the stipulated venue or in the agreed venue by the parties. In permissive, the complaint may be filed in the place designated by the rules or in the place stipulated. So, the agreement just provided for an additional venue between the parties. Additional venue for the filing of the action. You get the point. Okay, so ano yung mga examples ng restrictive words? Only, to the exclusion of, exclusively, you get the point. Kung wala yan, additional lang po. No? Tandaan nyo, the agreement, no, must make it very clear that itong venue na to is exclusive in nature. It is restrictive in nature. Otherwise, we construe it in favor of permissive lang yan. Additional venue lang yan. Okay? Tandaan yan. The presumption is permissive. Unless it is very clear, no? The parties made it very clear that the venue is only limited, restricted, exclusive to what they agreed upon. Okay? Sige. However, a restrictive stipulation of venue is not binding when the validity of the whole contract is assailed and not merely the agreement, arbitration agreement. So, hindi lang yung portion but yung buong contract. Sabihin natin, ina-assail yung validity ng buong contract of defective consent. May force, may intimidation, may fraud, and so on. Hindi pwedeng mag-i-stick yung plaintiff doon sa sinabing venue, exclusive venue doon sa contract kasi the plaintiff is assailing the validity of the whole contract itself. Di ba? How can this person assail the validity of the whole contract and at the same time, ino-honor na yung provision on exclusive venue? That's absurd. Di ba? So if the plaintiff is assailing, no, the validity of the whole contract, hindi niya po kailangan sundin yung exclusive venue as provided dun sa agreement nila. Follow lang po natin Rule 4. Okay? Follow lang natin yung Rule 4, no? Personal action yan probably. So you follow yung residence at the option of the plaintiff. Residence ng plaintiff, residence ng defendant at the option of the plaintiff. Okay? So when the plaintiff assails only the terms, no, of the written instrument, he has to follow the exclusive venue as provided in the contract. Pero if it's the whole contract that he is assailing, no need to follow the exclusive venue as provided under the agreement. Rule 4 ang susundan natin. Okay? Konting preview po no for for affirmative defenses. Dismissal based on proper venue. The general rule is the court cannot dismiss the case motu proprio on the ground of improper venue. The plaintiff must allege this affirmative defense in his answer for the court to decide upon the same. Okay? In case of denial of the affirmative defense, no, of improper venue, the motion for reconsideration, di pala the motion for reconsideration and petitions for certiorari, mandamus and prohibition cannot be availed of. The proper remedy is to raise the same on appeal after judgment on the merits. Hindi rin siyempre pwedeng i-assail, hindi rin pwedeng i-appeal agad yung denial ng affirmative defense kasi wala pa namang final judgment. Okay? So ano ang remedy? You proceed with the case. And then later on, after matapos na yung kaso, sabihin natin, natalo yung, the defendant must allege, no? Natalo yung defendant, sabihin natin, i-appeal niya, doon niya ilagay ulit yung affirmative defense na yun. Okay. Okay, no? So what are the exceptions, no? Summary procedure, small claims, at saka Rule 70 on ejectment suits. Why? In all of these exceptions, the court may dismiss the case on its own initiative, no? If the ground for dismissal is apparent. Okay? So if apparent po sa court, no, that there was there is improper venue, no, i-dismiss po ng court 'yan. Okay? Kasi nga sa general ano rin, ang motion to dismiss din kasi sa summary procedure sa small claims at saka sa Rule 70, prohibited motion din, no? Okay. So as a general rule do, no, sa general rule, hindi po mag-a-act motu proprio ang court, no? Okay. Let's move, no? Okay. Action in personam, action in rem, and action quasi in rem, no? So nilagay ko po, ito itatakil pa natin later on itong action in personam, action in rem, at saka quasi in rem sa Rule 14 on summons, no? Binibigyan ko lang kayo ng konting preview na ng nature, ng distinctions between the three kasi nasa syllabus natin, no? Kailangan, sinabi na kasi ng syllabus na nasa early part dapat siya. Pero for me, no, in my opinion, mas maganda kung wag natin isama masyado itong action in personam, action in rem, at saka action quasi in rem with venue at saka BP 129 kasi masyadong gugulo. Okay? Bigyan natin ng context kung ba't siya gugulo. Kasi po ang BP 129 at saka venue, gagamitin nyo yan pag ifa-file pa lang yung kaso. Tatanungin kayo ng kliyente nyo, attorney, sa natin ifa-file yung case. BP 129 at saka venue tayo. Ito pong in personam, in rem at saka quasi in rem. Ito po maging applicable lang once the action has been filed. Kasi sa service na po ito ng summons. Yung BP 129 and venue before the filing of the action yan. And at the time of the filing of the action. In personam, in rem, quasi in rem in relation to summons after the filing na yan. No? Sheriff na ang tatrabaho nito. Kaya ayoko din masyadong pinagkasamahin lahat-lahat kasi it would confuse things. It could confuse matters. Rather, i-separate natin. Okay? In any case, no, let's try to distinguish them. Okay? After nito, let's simplify everything, no? Okay, so actions in personam, in rem, and quasi in rem are related to proper service of summons. So sa Rule 14, no? What's the meaning of in personam, in rem, quasi in rem? An action in personam is an action against the defendant on the basis of his personal liability. Siya mismo yung magiging liable. Personally liable. Like action for collection of sum of money, action for damages. Okay, ito yung mga examples natin, no? Specific performance, rep levin, reivindicatoria, publicana, ejectment suit is also an action in personam, support, co-warranto, habeas corpus, amparo, and so on and so forth. Basically, personally liable po yung defendant. Next, action in rem. It is an action against the thing itself. Ano ang mga examples natin? Kasi tingnan nyo guys, kaya magandang may mga examples na ganito. Kasi pag binasa nyo lang yan, yes, parang ang daling intindihin. Okay, this is how we differentiate these principles. Pero hanggat wala kayong proper reflection, hanggat wala kayong proper examples, hindi nyo siya ma-absorb fully. Kaya naglagay tayo ng napakadami examples dito. Okay, what are examples of actions in rem, no? Action against the thing itself. Adoption. Anyway, adoption ngayon, administrative na in nature. No? Sa ano na ipa-file sa DSWD na. Okay. Annulment of marriage, correction of entry, estate proceedings, so settlement of estate yan, escheat proceedings. When you say escheat, babawiin ng gobyerno yung property, guardianship, declaratory relief. Okay. Probate of a will, no? Land registration and cadastral proceedings. Ibang mga di ko na binanggit kasi hindi sila masyadong ginagamit naman nowadays. Like yung absentee, not so much, no? Hindi masyadong ginagamit yan. Constitution of family home, hindi masyadong ginagamit yan. Pero tama nga naman, they are examples. No? Ano po ang napansin nyo pag action in rem? Hindi ba parang lagi special proceedings, no? Pero wag natin masyadong pahirapin yung sarili natin. Pero yun po siya lagi. Why? Kasi ang special proceedings, dito, they declare, they establish the status of a person. They establish a fact, a right. Diba? Like declaratory relief. It's just a declaration of right. Diba? Ang declaratory relief. Wala pa namang cause of action. So, diba? It's just an action in rem. Kasi it's just an action against the thing itself. What's that thing? The status, the right of the parties. Yun lang. Okay? Lastly, quasi in rem. An action against the defendant that subjects his interest over a property to a burden. Subjects his interest over a property to a burden. Ito yung pinaka, for me, no, personally, pinaka-technical, pinaka-mahirap i-decipher. No? Kasi yung personal liability at saka thing itself, complete opposite sila. So, mas madali silang itong sa isa na to in persona, sa isa na to in rem, mas madali. No? Kasi in rem, ito yung medyo may halo, no? Halo ng both features. Ano yung mga examples ng quasi in rem? Foreclosure of mortgage. Why? An action against the defendant. Ang defendant dito, yung mortgagor. Sinasubject yung interest niya over a property to a burden. So, yung property, probably real property. What's his interest over this property? Ownership. Kasi pag basic lang sa credit transaction, no? The mortgagor must be the absolute owner of the property mortgage at the time of the perfection of the contract. Kapag hindi po siya owner, invalid yan, contract na yan. Okay? So the defendant is the mortgagor. What interest was subjected? Ownership. What is, what does the defendant own? A real property. Okay, so an action against the mortgagor that subjects his ownership over a real property to a burden. What's that burden? Foreclosure. See? Yung basic lang po na ganyan, pinapalitan lang natin ng specifics na nasa example natin. Defendant is mortgagor. Interest is ownership. Property is real property. And burden is foreclosure. See? That's how it works. So, partition. Sino ang defendant? Co-owner. Subjects his interest. Ano yung interest na doon? Yung inchoate right niya over the co-owned property. It's ano pa yung burden? Partition. I-divide na po natin yung inchoate right mo. Yung ideal share mo doon sa property. Okay? So, paano naging burden? Later on, magkakaroon na tayo ng specific portion so hindi na pwedeng pupunta ka doon sa property nung kako-owner mo. Kasi magkakaroon na ng partition. Okay? An action against the co-owner that subjects his ideal share over the co-owned property to a burden. What's that burden? The eventual partition of the property. Pinapalitan lang natin, di ba? Annulment of deed of sale. Who is the defendant? Probably, well, pwedeng seller, pwedeng buyer, no? Well, sabihin natin yung buyer ang nag-forge. Sabihin natin, nag-forge, pinorge nung buyer yung pirma nung seller. Okay. So ngayon, nakita nung seller to, magpapa-annul siya ng deed of sale. Diba? Kasi napanotaryo pa nung buyer, so naging public instrument pa, mahirap. Next thing you know, makukuha na nung buyer yung titulo kahit na pineke naman niya yung deed of sale. Okay, the defendant is the buyer. An action against the buyer or the purchaser that subjects his interest niya as a buyer over the property sold to a burden. What's that burden? The annulment of the deed of sale. See? Okay, ganito. An action against the defendant, an action against the buyer that subjects his interest. What is his interest? Yung deed of sale. Yon. Yung deed of sale ang interest niya. Okay, kasi yun ang kanyang kapangyarihan eh. Yun ang kanyang right para makuha yung titulo ng property over the property sold to a burden. What's that burden? Annulment. Same thing po sa annulment of foreclosure of mortgage. Finorge po ulit. An action, sabihin natin ang nag-forge yung mortgagee. No? An action against the mortgagee that subjects his yung deed, no? Yung deed ng mortgage that subjects the deed of mortgage o sabihin natin yung pinaka-foreclosure itself. Sabihin natin, nag-annul lang foreclosure of mortgage kasi nga, finorge din yung contract of mortgage. So, an action against the mortgagee that subjects his interest. What's the interest? Yung yung contract of mortgage. Ang weird kasi na deed of mortgage. Yung contract of mortgage over the real property to a burden. What's the burden? Annulment. Okay. Attachment naman tayo ngayon. How does attachment happen? Sabihin natin, well, nasa ano to, no? Provisional remedies. Okay. Sabihin natin, the defendant, ang action is an action for collection of sum of money. Okay. Ngayon, si defendant is a non-resident foreign corporation. Pero si non-resident foreign corporation, merong property sa Philippines. Sabihin natin, meron siyang tatlong 10-wheeler truck, no? Pang-deliver ng goods. Nakita to ngayon ni plaintiff. Uulitin ko. Anyway, di ko naman alam kung nabanggit ko na before, no? Basta, well, medyo nabanggit ko na, no? Pag collection of sum of money, tapos non-resident foreign corporation, hindi po pwedeng magsaserve ka ng summons dyan. Why? Kasi wala pong hindi pwede, no? Kasi wala sa Philippines yan. Hindi mo pwedeng iserve yung summons personally or by substituted service of summons dun sa foreign corporation because wala pong jurisdiction ang Philippines sa ibang bansa. We do not have any jurisdiction outside the Philippines. So there's no valid way to perform a personal service or a substituted service of summons. So ano ngayon ang remedy ng ating plaintiff? I-convert mo yung action from action in personam to action quasi in rem. How? You file for an application for the issuance of a writ of preliminary attachment. How is this available? What are the grounds or what is one ground? One ground is if non-resident not found in the Philippines yung defendant natin. And this person or this corporation has properties in the Philippines. Ipa-attach natin ngayon yung properties na yon. Okay, so with that being said, how did this become an action quasi in rem? It is an action against the non-resident foreign corporation that subjects his interest. Ano yung interest niya? Ownership over the 3 10-wheeler trucks to what's the burden? To an attachment. We subject his ownership over the 3 10-wheeler trucks to an order of attachment, something like that. Or a writ of preliminary, di pala order of attachment, mali. To a writ of preliminary attachment. Di ba? You get the point. You get the point. Okay. Ganun po ang style. Pinapalitan lang natin ano yung mga pinalitan kong words. Defendant, interest, property, saka burden. That's how you can know if this action is in rem, is quasi in rem, is in persona. In any case, ang kailangan nyo lang naman, Hindi, ang kailangan niya talagang kailangan niyo talagang malaman to. Not for the purposes of the filing of the action. Kasi may file talaga yan pag makapag-comply lang sa 129 at saka sa venue. This is only necessary for summons. No? Ulitin ko ulit. Okay. In personam, the judgment binds the parties only. In rem, the judgment binds the whole world. In quasi in rem, the judgment binds the parties only. Kaya nga itong quasi in rem, hybrid. Minsan kaparehas ng in persona, minsan kaparehas ng in rem. Okay? In personam, jurisdiction over the person of a defendant is necessary. For in rem and quasi in rem, hindi po necessary. Ulitin ko, minsan ang quasi in rem, kaparehas ng in rem, minsan kaparehas ng in personam. Okay. Summons must be properly served to acquire jurisdiction over the person of the defendant for in personam, and then for in rem and quasi in rem. Kailangan pa rin may proper service of summons for due process purposes. Kung uulitin ko, kung wala pong proper service of summons, whether in personam, in rem, or quasi in rem, in all of these cases, judgment will be void. But for different reasons. But same way, the judgment will be void. Okay? Sige. Okay na tayo dyan. Okay, let's simplify, no? Let's simplify. Jurisdiction, BP 129, pupuntahan natin. So, mayroon dalawa, no? Action incapable of pecuniary estimation, action capable of pecuniary estimation. Sa venue, Rule 4, pupuntahan natin. One at a time. Real action, personal action. No? Minsan nagkaroon ng curveball dyan no, pag non-resident yung defendant. Pero hindi na yun masyadong magpapagulo dapat sa inyo. Okay? Summons, Rule 14, tatlo. Action in personam, in rem, quasi, in rem. Meron pala akong dinailagay dito, no? Nasabihin ko lang ulit, no? There are more ways, no? There are more methods to serve the summons for actions in rem and quasi in rem compared to actions in personam. To simplify, mas marami pong way para ma-serve ang summons pag in rem o quasi in rem as compared to in personam. Okay. How do we avoid confusion? Do not mix them together. Okay. Attack the problem one by one. Okay. So before the action is filed, you must first determine if RTC or MTC. O yung tinatawag ko na RTC side. If the party made an error here, no, the action shall be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter. If there's no error, we proceed to the second step. Second, you have to determine if Makati, Manila, Pasig, or what I call as Manila side. If the party made an error here, the action may be dismissed due to improper venue. If there's no error, we proceed to the third step. After the action is filed, isa-serve na ng summons yung sheriff. You have to determine if the summons was properly served. There are different ways to serve summons for in personam, in rem, and quasi in rem, or what I call as summons side. Okay? If the party made an error here, the action may be dismissed due to lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. It may also be dismissed for violation of due process. In your examination, the RTC side and the Manila side will usually be asked in the same question. It will be designed to confuse you. Tapos yung summons, it will be asked entirely in an entirely different question kasi nga iba na siyang step eh. It's the next step. So hindi siya normally iminimix sa RTC at saka Manila na yan kasi hindi naman talaga dapat. It's the next step. Kaya wag po tayong masyadong nalilito. Okay. Before I go to the examples, no, before we try to illustrate the principles that we've learned, I'd like to make this even simpler. Okay? Sige. Let's draw, no? Let's draw. Okay, let's draw, no? Okay, sige. Ayan. So, sabi ko may RTC side tayo, no? Ay, RTC side. Okay? Tapos meron tayong Manila side. Manila side. Sorry for the penmanship. Ayan, meron tayo RTC side, meron Manila side. Dito, we go to BP 129. Okay, dito we go to Rule 4. No? Pag tinanong kayo sa exam, para hindi kayo malito, kasi ibang mga bar examiner, lilituhin talaga kayo. No? Isa-isahin nyo muna. Okay? Isa-isahin nyo. Pag tinanong kayo, where should the action be filed? Wag lang kayo mag-focus dito. You also need to answer this one, especially kung may sinabi mga city, may sinabi mga probinsya, yung question. You need to tackle both. If you do not tackle both, you have partial points. Sayang, nagtapong ka ng score. Dapat 5/5 ka na, naging 3 pa, naging 4 pa. Probably 3 lang kasi kulang ka ng provisions. Di ba na ilagay yung rule 4? Okay, so pag tinanong ka about sa RTC, no? Or RTC side, ano yung kailangang malaman? Incapable at saka capable. Okay. Sa incapable, mas simple. Pag incapable yan, automatic RTC. Diba? Automatic RTC yan. Diba? Pag capable, pwede maging RTC. Hayaan nyo na yung agrarian dispute. Hayaan nyo na muna yun. Tinakil natin kayo, hayaan nyo muna yun. Okay, sa pag incapable, sinabi ko naman sa inyo kanina, ano yung mga examples? Expropriation, specific performance, declaratory relief, and so on. Okay, malilito, no? Isa-isa. Tingnan nyo, how is it incapable of pecuniary estimation? And then the inverse. It does not involve title to or possession of real property. It also does not involve an amount of demand or amount of claim. Specific performance, it's incapable kasi hindi naman siya title. Namumersa ka lang eh. You're just compelling someone. Huwag ka lang namumersa. Namimilit. Namimilit ka lang na i-deliver yung something. Gawin yung something. Diba? So it's not involving title to or possession. It's also not demand, claim. O, di ba? So it's incapable. Declaratory relief, same thing, incapable din. Ganun, no? Sige, medyo gawin natin na medyo mas bo. Pag declaratory relief, incapable of pecuniary estimation, personal action, tapos ano siya, action in rem. Something like that. Pero I recommend wag nyo nang gawin yung ganun. Sinabi ko lang sa inyo yung full picture. Pero wag niyong gawin ng ganun kasi it will confuse things. Kasi you're now jumping to the next boat. I mean by next boat yung Manila side. Dapat dito ka muna sa boat na to. Settle this boat first. And then you go to this boat. No? Okay, so ayan, no? Mali. Okay, ayan. O, sabihin natin capable. 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 Involving title to or possession, you get the point, 400,000. Pag demand, 2 million. Exclusive of IDLC. And totality rule applies. Pwedeng RTC, pwedeng MTC. Okay. Once you've settled that, you go to Manila. O, dalawa lang yan. Real, action, at saka personal. Okay, so ano pag personal? Involving title 2, di ba? Title 2, possession. Tapos ito naman, not real action. Okay. So, tingnan nyo muna kung real action ulit. So, parang ginawa natin dito. Tinignan muna natin kung involving title 2. Tinignan natin kung demand. O pag wala sa dalawa na yun, incapable. O dito naman ganun din. Tingnan nyo kung title 2 or possession of real property yan. Kung hindi, personal yan. Si mode of cancellation. Pero sabi ko sa inyo, para di malito, one step at a time. One step at a time. Okay? Once you've done this, sabi, ito pag real action, situated, di ba? Situated. Dito sa isa naman, residence. Simple na yan. Alam niyo na kung residence, kung ano man residence na nakasulat doon, kung sa defendant or sa plaintiff, kayo na bahala. Either way naman pwede. Okay? Sabi niyo both. Or either ganun at the election or at the option of the plaintiff. You get the point, no? Ganyan po, no? So ngayon, para malaman natin yung action in persona, huwag niyo isasali dito. It's an entirely new page. In personam, in rem, quasi, in rem. It's an entirely different concept. It's an entirely different concept, no? Why do we need to determine this? Number one, yung mode. of service of summons. Mas marami sa INREM, malalaman natin yan sa Rule 14. Number 2, jurisdiction over the person. The defendant, di ba? Number 3, yun. In all of these cases, di ba? Void judgment, di ba? Magkakaiba po siya sa reason. Reason. At saka lastly, what if, ay, mali, napindot ko, right? No, 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 no. Ano dyan? Ulit. What if the defendant is non-resident foreign? Di ba? Uusad ba ang kaso kung in personam, kung in rem, o quasi in rem? Sa in personam, hindi uusad yan. Pag sa in rem, uusad. Sa quasi in rem, uusad. So, paano ang remedy mo pag in personam ka? I-convert mo to in rem sa quasi in rem para umusad yan. How do you convert that? Attachment. No? Rule 57. Tama ba ako sa Rule 57? Okay. Okay. Ganun, no? I hope you, ano, no? I hope you get the points, no? Ganun po. So, tandaan nyo, it's an entirely different page. Pag action in personam, tama naman ako, Rule 47. Entirely different page po kapag in personam, in rem, quasi in rem. Huwag natin masyadong paghaluin. Pero kasi nga, minsan nahahalo talaga kasi ganun ang normal na attack eh, no? Didetermine mo kung capable o incapable, tapos real personal, tapos in personam, in rem, quasi in rem. In my opinion, wag. No? Ganito tayo, determine it like this, and then next page yung in personam, in rem, quasi in rem. Okay? At pag dinetermine mo tong RTC sa kay Manila side na to, one by one. Ulitin ko, one by one. Okay. I hope malinaw po, no? So, stop muna tayo sa pagdodrawing, no? Apologies for my penmanship. Sige. Punta tayo sa mga examples ngayon, no? Balikan natin yung mga sinulat ko, no? Okay. Yan. Example, action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 2 million. Saan ang kaso? MTC. Di ba? The creditor and debtor reside in Mandaluyong. San final yung kaso? Metsi Manila. Yes, it should be dismissed for improper venue. Sa Metsi ba tumama sila? Yes, kasi 2 million. Oh. Sa Manila tumama ba sila? Hindi, kasi they reside in Mandaluyong. So, dapat Metsi Mandaluyong yan. Okay, next. Action re-vindicatory of real property with a market value of 2 million. Oh, 2 million. Tingnan nyo, San final. MTC Plaridel. The assessed value of the property is 400,000. It is located in Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija. Both parties reside in Plaridel, Bulacan. Medyo nakakalito, di ba? Mas mahirap. The action was filed before the MTC Plaridel. So the action be dismissed. Why? Tingnan niyo muna yung BP 129. 400,000 po yung assessed value final sa MTC. Tama ba yan? Yes. Yes, kasi it does not exceed 400,000. Saan po nakalocate yung property? Wait, is the action real action or personal action muna? It's a real action because it involves title to or possession of real property kasi re-vindicatory yan. It's recovery of real property. Reconveyance of real property. So, kabanatuan, tama ba yan? Tapos, final mo sa Plaridel. Tama ba yun? Of course not. No? Of course not. Hindi yan tama kasi dapat in venue must be where the property is situated. Diba? Okay. So, proper venue ulit. Next, A and B orally agreed to the sale of a real property located in Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija. A resides in Cabanatuan while B resides in San Fernando, Pampanga. A already paid the full purchase price to B. However, A cannot transfer the title under his name because there was no written agreement between the two of them. Kasi ganyan po yan no, sa Register of Deeds. Hindi po maita-transfer ang titulo kung walang notarized deed of sale. Hindi maililipat ng pangalan sa buyer. Kaya kailangan ng kasulatan. So ano ginawa ngayon ni A? A filed an action for specific performance for the execution of a deed of sale in his favor against B. Against B. Okay. The action was filed before the MTC Cabanatuan. Should the action be dismissed? Tingnan natin. Is this action capable or incapable of pecuniary estimation? Ganyan. By the way, ganito rin pala dito, no? Pag tinignan nyo yung MEDC na to, tingnan nyo muna, is the action capable or incapable of pecuniary estimation? Capable kasi collection of sum of money. So, saan siya papasok? Amount of demand or claim, 2 million. Pasok tayo, MEDC. No? Dito, ganun din. Capable or incapable? Capable. Kasi, it's an action involving title to property, real property. So, ano mag-a-apply? 400,000 assessed value. 400K sakto. MTC, tama. Namali lang tayo in both cases sa venue. Sa third instance, is this an action capable or incapable of pecuniary estimation? It's an action incapable of pecuniary estimation kasi specific performance. Diba? It does not involve title, possession of real property. It does not involve demand, claim, whatever. Okay. It's an action compelling the defendant to execute something. That's incapable of pecuniary estimation. Walang pera yan. Yung pala, ibig sabihin lang yan in Tagalog. Capable of pecuniary estimation. Mako-compute ba natin yan in monetary terms? Can this action, o can, ano ba, yun nga, ilang ibig sabihin, incapable of pecuniary estimation. Mako-compute ba natin yan in peso terms? If we cannot, like specific performance, RTC yan. San final ang kaso? MTC. May mintis na agad. After that, we go to venue. Proper ba o improper ang venue? How do we know that? Tingnan ulit natin kung real action or personal action yung action. Specific performance. It does not involve title to or possession of real property or any interest therein. So, personal action siya. Pag personal action, ano mag-govern? Residence of the plaintiff or the defendant at the option of the plaintiff. Final po sa kabanatuan. A resides in Cabanatuan. O de pasok. Proper ang venue, pero mali po yung court. Sa BP 129 nagmintis. So, should the action be dismissed? Yes. For lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter. So, dapat i-final po yung kaso na to sa RTC Nueva Ecija. Okay? Hope you get the point. Kasi alang RTC Cabanatuan. RTC Nueva Ecija, Cabanatuan branch. Something like that. Kung tama man ako. Sa RTC Nueva Ecija dapat, no? Ganon, no? A lent 10 million pesos to B. May dash na ganon. Pinautang ni A si B ng 10 million secured by a real estate mortgage. The registered owner of the mortgage property is C. So, ang tawag po kay C under sa credit transaction is an accommodation mortgagor or third-party mortgagor. Valid po yan. Kailan nangyayari yan? Kailan usually nangyayari yan? Umutang yung anak, isinanla ng tatay yung property niya para magkaroon ng collateral yung anak niya. Basically, tulong sa anak. Normally, ganyan nangyayari dyan no, in real life. Okay. A lent 10 million to B secured by a real estate mortgage. The registered owner of the mortgage property is C. The mortgage property is situated in Taguig, no, and has an assessed value of 1M. A resides in Manila, B resides in Makati, and C resides in Pasig. Later, A filed an action for judicial foreclosure against B and C. Okay. A filed the action with RTC Manila. Should the action be dismissed? Why? Unang-una ulit, tingnan muna natin if the action is capable or incapable of pecuniary estimation. Judicial foreclosure is an action capable of pecuniary estimation. Why? Because it is an action involving title to an interest in a real property. Title to an interest in a real property. Okay, so with that being said, di ba, against B and C. Okay, so ano to? Capable. So titingnan natin ngayon yung assessed value. 1 million yan. Exceeding ng 400,000 assessed value, RTC tama. See? So in short, yung 10 million, we don't care. We don't care about the 10 million part. Okay, judicial foreclosure. Tapos na tayo sa BP 129, no? Tama ito, di ba? Pasok eh, kasi 1 million. Let's go to venue. Is this a real action or a personal action? It's a real action because it is an action involving title to an interest in a real property. So ano mag-govern? Where the property is situated. So ito pong residence ni A, residence ni B, residence ni C, irrelevant, pampagulo. Ano ang kailangan nyo makita? Wherever or where is the property situated? Situated po siya sa Taguig. Should the action be dismissed? Yes ulit, because of improper venue. Manila eh. Tama yung RTC, mali yung Manila. Dapat hinali yan RTC Taguig. Kasi that's where the property is situated. See? Next. A lent 10 million to B, secured by a real estate mortgage. The registered owner of the mortgage property is C. The mortgage property is situated in Taguig. Same lang ulit. Assessed value of 1 million. A resides in Manila, B resides in Makati, C resides in Pasig. Later, A filed an action for collection of sum of money against B and C. A filed the action with RTC Manila. Should the action be dismissed? Ulitin ko na naman ulit. Collection of sum of money. Is this an action capable of pecuniary estimation? The answer is yes. Wait lang. Dapat pala may nilagay. Anyway. Dapat pala nilagay ko dito, kulang tayo. Lagay ko lang dito, B failed to pay upon demand. Okay. The loan, no, became due and demandable and B failed to pay upon demand. Ilalagay ko dito sa next question din. Sa next question din. Okay. Action for collection of sum of money yan. So it is an action capable of pecuniary estimation. Ano ngayon ang titignan natin? Yung amount ng loan. Kasi yun yung demand. 10M. Okay? So, exceeding 2 million RTC. Correct. Okay, now we go to venue. Sa Manila side tayo. Is this a personal action or a real action? It is a personal action because it does not involve title to or possession of real property. Tandaan nyo, pag personal action, hindi mo sasabing amount of demand. Mali. Pag sinabi mong personal action under Rule 4, it's all other actions that uh, are not actions involving title to or possession of real property or any interest therein. Lahat, whether i-demand yan o hindi, kahit ano. Okay, basta hindi title to or possession, ganun po ang pag-intindi. Okay, so sa Manila side, tama ba siya? Yes. Why? Kasi pag personal action, ang proper venue is residence of the principal plaintiff or residence of principal defendant. Eh, nakalagay eh, Manila. Pwede. Okay, so no. Okay? By the way, nakalagay po pala, no? Attorney, paano pag final yung kaso sa RTC Pasig? Kasi po, well, taga-Pasig si ano, yung mortgagor, yung third party mortgagor, yung accommodation mortgagor, he is residing in Pasig. What if A filed the action with RTC Pasig, should the action be dismissed? Balikan natin sa taas, no? Ang sagot natin dyan, yes, it shall be dismissed. Balikan natin yung rules on venue. Buti pala nabanggit ko na din, no? Tingnan nyo to, no? Sabi po dyan, ayan, venue of personal actions. It must be commenced in the proper court having jurisdiction over the place where the principal plaintiff or principal defendant resides. Pag sinabi mong principal defendant nag-reside, hindi po kasali yung third party mortgagor, yung accommodation mortgagor. Why? Because he is not a principal defendant sa collection of sum of money. Hindi. Ang principal defendant dyan, hindi yung creditor. Di ba? Okay? So pag po ganun, if that is the scenario, final sa RTC Taguig, dismissible din po. Madidismiss din po yung kaso based on improper venue. Because the action should have been filed with the RTC Manila or RTC Makati. Hindi po sa RTC Pasig because he is not a principal defendant in the action for collection of sum of money. Okay? Ito na, nailagay ko na rin dito. Okay? Na-mention ko na rin, no? Ito yun. Ito, now, no? Ginawa ko na po yung from examples 1 to 6, no? In-explain ko sa inyo ng may sagot na ako. Okay. Try natin ngayon sa number 7. Wala pa akong sagot. Sagutan natin, sabay tayo. No? 2022 bar question to, no? So, ganito talaga yung mga tanungan. Palito, no? Lebron, a Makati resident, obtained a 350,000 pesos loan from the bank secured by a real estate mortgage over his lot located in Quezon City with an assessed value of 500,000. Lebron failed to pay despite written demands. The bank intends to file an action for judicial foreclosure of the real estate mortgage. Where should the action for judicial foreclosure of the real estate mortgage be filed and in which court? Where should the action? Ito po venue. In which court? Ito po RTC or MTC. So itakal po muna natin yung RTC side. Ano po yung action ulit? Judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage. So ano siya? It's an action involving title to an interest over a real property. So, ano yung factor in natin? 400,000 assessed value. Ano andyan? 500,000. So, simulan muna natin bago ko sagutan. RTC yan. Okay. Next. Is this a real action or a personal action under Rule 4? It's a real action because it is an action involving title to an interest in a real property. So, ano ang venue? Property is situated. Diba? So, saan nakasituate? Quezon City. Quezon City. That's how it works. Now, let's answer. No? The action for judicial foreclosure of the REM, no, shall be filed with the RTC Quezon City. Okay. Una muna, BP 129 muna tayo, no? Under BP bilang 129 as amended, no? The regional trial court, no, has original exclusive jurisdiction over actions involving title to or possession of a real property or any interest therein. Diba? Further, under the rules of court, no, as amended, the impersonal actions, no, the action, impersonal action, okay. The action shall be filed with the court, no, shall be filed with a proper court, no? Having jurisdiction. Ito, action shall be filed. Okay. Where the principal plaintiff or the principal defendant resides at the option of the plaintiff. Action shall be filed in the court. Yan. Having jurisdiction. Okay. The action shall be filed in the court having jurisdiction over the well, in this case, over the city. Okay. Further, under the rules of court as amended in personal actions, okay, personal action, the action shall be filed in the court having jurisdiction over the city where the principal plaintiff or the principal defendant resides, no, at the option of the plaintiff. Okay, here, no, copy paste because the assessed because an action for judicial foreclosure of REM is an action, no, involving title to an interest, no, over a real property, and the assessed because the assessed value of the lot, okay, is 500,000, and number two, the lot, no, was located in Quezon City. That's how easy it is. The first number ito, it addresses yung RTC side, no? The second number, it addresses the Quezon City side. Anyway, pwede mo naman tanggalin din to, no? Okay, ayan. Further siguro. Pwedeng ganyan din, no? Because an action for judicial process is an action related to. Okay. Pwede ko naman gawin yung 1 and 2 na gano'n na lang. I'd like that too. Okay. See? That's how you answer that. Okay, so recheck ulit natin, no? Judicial foreclosure, nagsimula tayo dyan. Okay, it's an action capable. So, assess value, titingnan natin. Okay, tama. RTC. Quezon City, kasi real action siya. Tama. Hindi po natin kailangan ito. Tingnan nyo ha. Hindi kailangan yan. Hindi kailangan yan. Di ba? Hindi sila necessary. The question was made to confuse you kasi naglagay ng ibang mga numero, naglagay ng amount of flow, naglagay ng kung saan nakatira si Lebron. Di ba? Okay. Ito lang kailangan dyan yung sa baba. Quezon City, 500,000. Okay. So we're done there, no? Hopefully, na-get po natin sa dami natin ginawang example sa inyo. No? Move tayo to the next one, no? Barangay. Inherent powers pa muna, no? Anyway, sinabi itong inherent powers, no, na sinabi sa syllabus yun na sa section 5, rule 135, at saka section 6, rule 136 yan. Ano po ang essence nito? Ang essence nito is lahat po ng court sa Philippines may power to issue preliminary injunctions, temporary restraining orders. Why? Because that is an inherent. Okay? It's an inherent power to, ano rin, cite in contempt. Lahat po yan. Inherent power at saka implied power na din. Okay? Implied dyan, kasi ano express grant, sabihin natin sa MTC. Express grant siya to here, to try cases, sabihin natin, actions involving title to or possession of real property or any interest therein, where the assessed value does not exceed 400,000. That's the express power. Ang implied power dyan, or that power, ito po yan. Ito yung implied power. Means to carry jurisdiction into effect. Okay? Implied power yan kasi ang express na kinonfer sa kanya sa court, yung action involving Title 2 sa MTC. Ang implied dyan, means to carry itong jurisdiction na to into effect, mag-issue ng injunction, mag-issue ng contempt, paano pag ayaw umappear in court, pasabihin na mo, yung mga yan, implied powers yan. Okay? Ito, inherent powers, no? Every court shall have power to preserve and enforce order in its immediate presence. So yun nga, contempt yan. To enforce order in proceedings before it or before a person. Okay. To compel obedience. Basically, po, sabihin na to. Contempt din to. No? Compel obedience to its judgments, orders, and processes, at saka subpoena, and so on and so forth. To compel the attendance, subpoena. To administer or cause to be administers oaths. So bago sumumpa, bago mag-testify, mag-under oath, no? And so on and so forth. Okay? Ito yung inherent. So, in essence po, no, ang inherent more on sa mga subpoena, contempt. Anyway, for me, medyo implied din yun eh. Kasi binigyan ka ng jurisdiction, diba, pwede kang mag-cite ng tao in contempt. Pero kung papa-differentiate po sa atin to sa exams, ipasok nyo sa inherent power yun. Okay? Kasi yan eh, paulit-ulit eh. Preserve and enforce order in its immediate presence. Contempt yan in short. Di ba? Enforce order in process. Same thing. Enforce na naman. Compel obedience to its judgments, orders, and processes. Subpoena. Contempt ulit. To control the conduct of its ministerial officers. Diba? Kokontrolin mo eh. Diba? To compel the attendance. Subpoena. To administer oath. Okay, oath. To amend and control its process and order so as to make them comfortable to law and justice. Okay, so pwede niyang baguhin yung kanyang process and orders. Okay? To authorize a copy of a lost or destroyed pleading to be filed and used instead of the original. Okay. Ito namang means to carry out, ito implied. When by law, jurisdiction is conferred on a court or judicial officer, all auxiliary writs, processes, and other means necessary to carry it into effect may be employed by such court or officer. That's your example niyan. Premier example niyan is provisional remedies. Like attachment nga, preliminary, injunction. Implied to. Okay, let's move to barangay conciliation. Okay, so what disputes are subject to the authority of the lupon of each barangay for amicable settlement? Tandaan nyo, as a general rule, all disputes are covered by barangay conciliation proceedings. Okay? Meron lang pong mga exceptions. At pag pumasok ka sa exception, hindi ka na covered ng barangay conciliation proceedings. But the general rule is lahat po ng dispute sa Pilipinas pwede sa barangay. Anyway, ang power naman talaga ng barangay is to mediate, to form an amicable, to help the parties have an amicable settlement. Anyways, these are the cases exempted, no, by the local government code, where the government is a party, public office, or where a party is a public officer and it relates, and the action relates to his functions, where an offense where there is no private offended party, offense, imprisonment exceeding 1 year, or fine exceeding 5,000 pesos. Ito ang pinaka-important itong dalawa na to. Tandaan nyo po, if the parties reside in the same city or municipality, pero magkaiba ng barangay, no? Magkaiba ng barangay. Sabihin natin, sa Manila po kasi, ang barangay sa Manila, City of Manila, puro numero. Puro numero. Sabihin natin, pareho silang taga Maynila, yung isa, barangay 710, yung isa, barangay 711. Ibabarangay po ba natin? Yes. Kasi they reside in the same city, even though different barangays. Tandaan nyo yan. Ang barangay conciliation, covered basta same city nakatira. Same city, same municipality nakatira. Kahit na iba po ang kanilang mga barangay. Okay? Different cities, municipalities where real properties are located, or different cities or municipalities where the parties actually reside. Attorney tanong, paano pag yung property pinagtatalunan nila sa Makati lang? Talaga, yung lupa sa Makati lang talaga. Pero sila, yung si A, he resides in Manila, si B resides in Mandaluyong. The property is in Makati. Doon lang talaga sa Makati. Covered ba siya ng barangay? No. Because they reside in different cities. Next question. Sabihin natin, yung property pinagtatalunan nila, isang Makati at saka isang Taguig. Pero sila pareho, taga Manila sila pareho. Subject ba sa barangay yan? No. Because the real properties are located in different cities or municipality, different cities. Kasi isang property sa Makati, isang property sa Taguig. So, cannot be. Okay? Sige. Next, under detention, deprived of personal liberty, the plaintiff applied for provisional remedies and statute of limitation. So, meron tayong 6 clusters dito. Dalawa pong government. Yan. Pag merong element, meron ng semblance na may gobyerno nakasali dyan, hindi na pwede sa barangay. Okay? Next, offenses. Offense na walang private offended party. No? Not this one. Mali yan. Hindi pala corporation. Corporation is also a private offended party. Ibig sabihin na no private offended party, ang in-offend mo, gobyerno ulit. Pero doon tayo leaning towards offense, no? In-offend mo, LGU, sabihin natin, no? Anyways, offense, the prescribed penalty for the offense is imprisonment exceeding 1 year or fine exceeding 5,000. I submit dito, lahat naman na ng crime sa Philippines ngayon exceeding 5,000 kasi in-adjust na nga po yung light felonies ngayon hanggang 40,000 na. No? So I submit, no, personally. Nagkaroon ng gap kasi dito, hindi ito na-amend. Lahat po ng offense sa Philippines dapat hindi subject sa barangay. Di ba? Kasi pasok dito sa fine exceeding 5,000. Pasok dyan. Lahat ng crimes, offenses sa Philippines exceeding na ng 5,000. Well, not necessarily pala offense, no? Special penal laws yan. Sabihin natin na revised penal code. Lahat ng crimes under the revised penal code exceeding na ng 5,000 kahit na light felony. Except lang dyan na hindi na-amend dyan yung impossible crime. Mababa pa rin ang fine dyan kasi hindi siya naisali sa amendment. Pero sabihin natin, slight physical injuries, hanggang 40K na po. So, hindi na talaga pwede sa barangay, no? Anyways, I feel ko naman, pag natanong kayo sa barangay, hindi naman kayo tatanungin towards criminal cases. Matatanong kayo sa barangay, dito magpo-focus yan sa tirahan ng mga parties to the case or kung saan located yung properties, dito kayo lilituhin yan. Okay, so ito po yung second cluster, ito yung third cluster. Okay? Ito po yung fourth. Under detention, deprived of personal liberty. No? Actually, gawin nating 5 lang pala. Yan. Ito po yung third. Under detention, deprived of personal liberty at saka provisional remedies were applied for why? In all of these instances po kasi, merong sense of urgency dapat. Nakakulong yung partido. Deprived of personal liberty, nakakulong nga. Okay. Provisional remedies were applied for. Pag kasi nag-apply ka ng provisional remedies, likely, meron kang hinahabol na event na dapat hindi mangyari otherwise, may injury dun sa applicant. Ganun yan. Sa attachment, ganun. Sa injunction, ganun. May hinahabol ka, otherwise magkaka-injury. Even sa support pendente lite. Kaya ka magpa-file ng application for provisional remedy ng support pendente lite kasi kapag hindi ka agad nagkaroon ng support pending litigation, walang makakain yan. May injury. May sense of urgency. Di ba? Okay. Lastly is statute of limitations. Okay, prescription. Malamang, prescribed na eh. Diba? Okay, so sa venue naman tayo, no? If they reside in the same barangay, lupon of that barangay. If residing in different barangays, lupon of the barangay where the respondent resides. Okay, so yung kalaban, no? Yung inahabla, doon ka pupunta sa home court niya. Why? Because the barangay of the complainant has no authority over the respondent. Diba? Walang authority. Pero yung complainant, pag nag-file ka dun sa home court nung ihahabla mo, parehong merong authority sa inyo yung barangay doon. Why? May authority sa iyo yung barangay na yun kasi ikaw ang nag-file, di ba? Sinabit mo yung sarili mo sa authority ng barangay na yun. On the other hand, yung ihahabla mo, mayroon ding authority yung barangay doon since doon siya nakatira. You see the point? Pero pag nag-file yung complainant doon sa barangay niya mismo, ano authority ng barangay niya mismo doon sa kalaban niya na nasa ibang barangay? Wala. Diba? Kahiyaan na lang ng mga magkabila ang barangay chairman dyan. Pero kung ikaw mismo magpa-file, there's no problem kasi you submitted to the authority of the other barangay chairman. Okay. Pag real property, where the property or a larger portion of it is situated. Workplace, tandaan nyo workplace, pag magkatrabaho, nagkaroon ng problema, the parties must still reside in the same municipality or city. Institution where the parties are enrolled for studies o magkaklase, hindi lang pwedeng same location yung pinag-ieskwelahan nila. Dapat they also reside in the same city or municipality. If they do not, sabi natin nag-aaral sa Maynila, sa University Belt, yung isa taga Caloocan, yung isa taga Quezon City, hindi ka pwedeng magbarangay kasi they reside in different cities even though they are studying in the same school. Iba yung titirahan nila, wala pong barangay na mangyayari. Conciliation, straight to court agad yan. Okay. When should the respondent object to the venue? Sabihin natin improper yung venue. Example, they reside in different barangays, tapos yung respondent, tapos yung complainant final yung kaso sa barangay niya, hindi sa barangay ng respondent. The respondent must raise this objection during the mediation proceedings sa mismong barangay. Otherwise, the same shall be deemed waived. He cannot raise it for the first time with the courts. Okay? Effect of amicable settlement. It has the force and effect of a final judgment. Parang sa court din. It has the force and effect of a final judgment and of a court upon the expiration of 10 days from the date. Ito po ang wala naman sa court. Diba? Pag may amicable settlement sa court, wala mga 10 days na ganyan. Okay? It has the force and effect of a final judgment of a court upon the expiration of 10 days from the date of the execution of the amicable settlement, unless repudiation has been made or a petition to nullify has been filed in court. Okay, so when should if sabihin natin yung respondent hindi na siya agree, nagbago ang kanyang isip sa settlement na nangyari sa barangay, he can repudiate it within 10 days from the date of execution. Okay, so the amicable settlement cannot be repudiated after the expiration of 10 days kasi magiging na siyang final and executory basically. Wala nang balikan, immutable na yan. Okay? Pero within the 10-day period pwede.